Cowabunga, JJ Meets World listeners. Trust me, this is going to sound like we're just talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but really, we get into an upcoming trip that Tucker and I are going to take. You don't want to miss any of it. And heck, if you want to come along, let's get a bus going. Listen and enjoy this episode of JJ Meets World. And by the way, if you'd like to help support our podcast, visit jjmeetsworld.com where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some killer swag at our merch shop, or click the link to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review.
1, 2, 3, 4. J.J. Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is! He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. J.J. has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirled as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called JJ Meets World.
Tucker, I know that you are a fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I am, that's correct.
When they say teenage, what age is there canonically? Like, do we know what teenage? Like, are they 15? Are they 19?
My understanding is that it can be different for every iteration of them.
Okay.
And from the ones that I grew up with, they never specified a specific age. It was just sort of perpetually teenager. But I mean, they don't even, the ones that we grew up with didn't really even look like teenagers. They looked like adults, right? They looked like muscular turtle adults.
Yeah.
So the teenage part, I think, is kind of wishy-washy. Now they definitely have aged them down to really feel like at least modern day teenagers.
Because they really never reference themselves as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They just call themselves the Turtles.
I mean, the only real teen culture of the time that they got into was skateboarding, pizza. But they were kind of the reason why pizza was popular,
sure,
if anything, at that level.
I mean, in a way, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy because our kids our age also got into things like sais,
right,
and bows and katanas.
But it wasn't really teenage culture; it was surfer culture, kind of, right?
Oh yeah.
Cowabunga and the karate craze. The word teenage really entered it when Kevin Laird and Eastman were creating it. And they wanted to make it as ridiculous as they could. They just said, wouldn't this be insane if they were, and they're teenagers as well.
I think one of the things that people don't realize about them is that this was done as a parody when it first began.
Yeah, so Daredevil is a character who is, walking down the street as a kid, and a vehicle with chemicals drives by. He almost hits him, and he gets splashed in the face with these chemicals. Well, their idea was that those same chemicals, there was a little boy there with turtles, like pet turtles,
walking with like an open aquarium,
and they get hit by the same stuff, and it turns them into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which then I believe that's the full explanation in the original comic book. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is, I mean, great, right?
Which gets modified and changed over time, and it's been reiterated so many times. Right. There's different ones you can go with.
And you wouldn't really even recognize the original Turtles. Like, the original Turtles design was not what we have come to know and love from the animated series, which is really what brought the Turtles into the zeitgeist.
Right, yeah. So a little bit of a timeline. They get created as a comic book, and the comic gets really big in the comic book scene, not like nationally. Not everyone saw it. But this was after the sort of Star Wars toy era, and we were in Transformers and G.I. Joe and all these.
Even McDonald's is getting in the world of like toys.
Yeah, actually, He-Man is at this time, right? And so everyone's looking for toy lines because this is sort of a renaissance of like the Reagan era dropped a lot of the restrictions on how you could advertise to kids. So they realized, well, the best way to advertise toys to kids is to create a cartoon. So that's what they were doing with all these properties. So they see the Ninja Turtles being this sort of little cult following on, and they realize there are elements here that would absolutely work for us. But if we're going to make a kids TV show, then we're gonna sanitize this a lot, because the original one was very gritty. It was black and white. They're like killing people and stuff. It's really kind of hard and badass because it was made for a somewhat mature counterculture audience who was reading comic books. So that when they when they adapt it for cartoons, that's where the different colored headbands come in. That's where pizza comes in. That's where some elements of their story are changed a little bit. That's where you start getting Cowabunga, and the personalities were already kind of there in the comic, but they really kind of take them another level. They soften everything. So in the comic book, Raphael's sort of mean and angsty. In the cartoon, he's sarcastic, right? He's the wisecracking one.
Do you know what I love is talk about a theme song that tells you what to expect, right?
Yeah.
It tells you exactly who their personality is.
Leonardo leads and Donatello does machines.
You know,
Raphael is cool but
crude.
Michelangelo is a party
dude. And so you're like, oh, I know exactly who these people are. But like, okay, I can handle this.
Yep. I remember specifically the very first time I saw Ninja Turtle anything. And I remember it taking over my brain and being like, what is this? And it was the cartoon. Because I want to say the cartoon came out in 87 or 88. 88, I think, is when the cartoon came out. And we were living in Grand in North Dakota. And we were at a neighbor's house who was babysitting a lot of the neighborhood kids. And some of the older kids had turned on the TV and were watching Ninja Turtles. And I remember walking in the room and seeing Donatello and seeing Shredder and being like, what? What is this? This is amazing. And it became the very first thing that I ever became obsessed over, as did millions of children at that time.
So the Turtles become massive overnight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the toy line, you could not go to a birthday party without a kid getting 3 or 4 turtle figures.
Right. It's one of the few franchises that was already in the billions in the 90s of dollars.
Also, the toys were well constructed. Like,
right.
You know, you take like, you know, the G.I. Joes that were coming out that area that had the rubber
Very
band
true.
hips and they break. The Turtles were stout built toys.
Yeah, I still have all of mine.
I think the only downside is they came with a bunch of like really thoughtless accessories that you would lose no matter what, right? Like, so the dolls themselves were great, but the accessories were garbage. And then they were like, listen, so everyone's got a Donatello. What can we do? We're like, well, why don't we have a Donatello that's got a poncho and, you know, like a sombrero, and let's do, you know, so they start putting out alternate versions of the toys. And so you want to get the Donatello and the Michelangelo that do this and, you know, pizza throwing action. And then they put out the turtle van, and I remember the Christmas that I got the sewer layer.
Yep, me too.
And like, I stopped opening any other presents, and I opened the box and I started putting everything together. And that was an era where you got the sticker sheet and you had to put the stickers on everything to get it just right.
Yep.
Oh my God, that was probably one of the greatest Christmases of my life. I remember being down next to my grandmother's awfully flocked Christmas tree, putting it all together and having so much fun.
I got mine secondhand from a garage sale. But
Nice.
I remember the moment my parents walked it in and just being like my world was changed forever.
Right.
At that moment. So many of my formative year, I have so many memories tied to that franchise, just to the Ninja Turtles in general, that bring me back to a time and a place.
Now, not everything that the Turtles do is gold. For example, the very first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video game for the NES is one of the most frustrating, pointless garbage. They must have made that game in a weekend and then pushed it out. And like, when you look at it, you're like, I don't think that this was supposed to be the Turtles. I think that this was something else, and then they just put like they just changed the sprites to look like the Turtles instead.
I didn't realize until I was an adult that I was playing that game wrong as a kid. Like, as a kid, I didn't put two together that you could cut back and forth between the turtles to save life. And you could, if you find a pizza, you can keep going in and regenerate. And you got to be kind of strategic. I had no concept of that. So I would just play a turtle till they died. And then I'd play another turtle till they died. And that's all I did. So as an adult, I found like, oh, there's all these things that you're supposed to do, but it's not obvious necessarily at the very beginning.
I mean, here's my problem with the NES game. I never got anywhere in it. I felt like it was frustrating.
Furthest I got was that underwater level.
Which
that makes your heart pound.
I hate it. Fuck. Now, and it was one of the things too, because like, I don't remember the turtles swimming a lot in the television show. Like, I know they're turtles and they should be good at it, but I don't remember them swimming a lot.
Oh,
now,
now the cover of that one though, That's another drawback to what was different about them, because they used to all be red bandanas.
Yeah.
Entirely red bandanas until the cartoon. And sometimes images of them would still be inconsistent in the marketing. So you would see them with all red bandanas, but then in the game they would have their
Which is
consistent
kind of like,
colors.
hey, this thing is a hit. Let's just send all of this over to Japan to have them make a game. It's the same reason why like the Back to the Future game is garbage, right? Is that they
Never actually played it.
Oh god!
Is
Oh,
it Nintendo?
yeah, it is so bad.
Yeah.
Every now and then I get lost on YouTube streams of like the 10 worst best. It's always in the like top 5 worst.
yeah.
And the reason being is that they translated a part of the script and gave like 6 bullet points, and then handed it over to a game developer, and he's like, okay, so it's a kid on a skateboard, and he's got to collect clocks because he's going back in time, and someone's throwing a bench at them, right? Like they're like, okay, yeah, people are stupid. Now the flip side of that is the arcade game comes out, and it is still one of the best arcade games you're ever going to find, including, if I could please find the woman who's the April O'Neil on the side of that. So many nights at Chuck E. Cheese, I just stared directly in those eyes. So amazing.
Yeah.
I think
April was our Princess Leia.
she really was.
She was.
In that yellow
Yep.
jumpsuit. And she was a self-made media, like in the media. Because that arcade game is amazing. And it's a 4-player. Everything about that arcade game, I think, is just perfect. So it's like, how can you get the home version wrong and then this? And then they released the like TMNT, like actual like arcade game. Like there's 2 back-to-back games that come out for the NES that are awesome, that are fantastic and so much fun to play. I played those games nonstop as a kid. I mean, they were honestly, they didn't ever have time to get dust, and I didn't ever have to blow on the cartridges because I was using them so often. And then they get into some weird stuff, like when they get into the Manhattan Project, and you're like, oh, you guys just didn't really, you just more cash grabs. But then
It's all good. To me, it's all good. If it's Ninja Turtles, I'm there.
they fully redeemed themselves by doing Turtles in Time for the SNES, the Super Nintendo.
It starts as an arcade system, and then then
really?
it gets ported to NES or Super NES.
Okay.
And there's if you have a Nintendo Switch and you buy the
Cowabunga collection.
Cowabunga collection, you can play both versions, and you can see, okay, yep, it's definitely there's better graphics in the arcade one. The physics is a little bit different. But it's not that different.
But it does have different villains, though, if I'm correct. So, like, for example,
Maybe it might.
Like,
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look again.
I'm trying to think, because I know that there's a couple differences, because I always played the SNES one, and when I played, because at first they released the Turtles in Time as like something you could download on the Switch, but it was the arcade version. I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't who I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's so good. And so then, and of course, then we get the live action films, right? And the Jim Henson Company works to make the live action films. And quite frankly, those movies still hold up to this day. And it's because the physical effects, the fights, they hired the right people to be in the costumes. They got great voice work for it. It's, these are all adult stories.
They didn't have a bunch of toy people getting in the way. They didn't have a bunch, as far as we can tell. It's hard to tell, actually, because we don't know what hit the cutting room floor and stuff like that. But
you have to imagine the toy companies are pissed.
Right.
Because they're like, we can't make a Casey Jones based off Elias Codius. Like, no one wants that one.
But they were already selling Casey Jones from the cartoon. Right. So, if anything, I would assume maybe they thought, well, we're not going to make movie-specific toys. This is going to just feed into whatever. But until they did the second movie and they actually made movie toys.
It's an amazing commentary on New York City as well. That first movie about how like the gangs of New York City. Like, it opens with April talking about how like there's this rash of crime going on, right? And you see all this stuff getting stolen, including the like guy who's watching the newscast and he turns away for a second. When he turns back, the TV's gone.
That's one of the things I love about that movie, is that the stakes are high, but not like on a galactic or a global level.
Right.
It's just in the city, and
Shredder's not trying to take over the city.
No, it's essentially he's running a crime syndicate where he's really building a cult, right? It's kind of what he's doing. He's taking in kids without homes and letting them smoke, and do all that kind of stuff with their skateboarding in their little warehouse, and then
Eating Burger King.
and then they learn martial arts and how to steal. And then if they do really good, they get to join the Foot Clan.
Which is interesting because most like if I think about getting into a gang, the one where they're skateboarding and eating Burger King looks way more fun than being a part of the Foot and then torturing a rat man.
So Shredder's entrance in that movie rules. I remember being terrified of that Shredder when he came in.
Who's much different than the Shredder we know of, like this monologuing, like, tonight I'll dine on turtle soup.
Yeah.
Again, they made that movie not, interestingly enough, not for the core audience who already loved that. They made it to appeal to a different, they knew they knew you and I were going to go to that movie. But they made something that, now the older teens could get into this and be like, it's grittier, it's different, like they're dealing with headier concepts.
Yeah, they took a lot from the comics, from that tone. So basically the movie is sort of melding the comic books that they all started with the cartoon interpretation and sort of like finding like a somewhere in between. Because it's not gory, and that Raphael says damn 3 times.
Yep. Which was a long discussion for us today.
And I need to ask. Oh, so this ties it in, right? Why are we talking about Ninja Turtles?
Why are we talking about the Ninja Turtles? Because we've actually done a Ninja Turtles episode, if I'm not mistaken.
We probably have.
But here's this update. So this is the reason why. I just happened to be on social media, and clearly they're like, we're going to do a sponsored post, and we want men who have disposable income, who've probably already looked at weird stuff about toys. Let's market to him. In Minot, North Dakota, they have the Magic Con, because Minot's the Magic City. And at Magic Con this year, they have invited essentially a TMNT panel of performers, people who were in the costumes, the guy who played Shredder, and I'm super excited. Kevin Clash as well, who was the one who made Elmo who he is today, and Baby Sinclair was one of Jim Henson's proteges, and he's going to be there. And so Tucker and I are making plans to drive to Minot to attend the MagicCon for one day. Now, you've known about this less than 24 hours, and you've already made some really, like I wouldn't be surprised if there's a notebook somewhere that you've got ideas of, like, oh, this is how I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to get signed.
There's a Chat GPT discussion with me and Chat GPT where I'm like, here's my plan, but tell me if this strategy works or not. And I kind of worked on it a bit. So I'm interested in getting autographs. That's what I'm interested in. And so I took some time yesterday to figure out, what am I getting autographed? And I need there's some unknowns here still, because the autographs are paid, except for the guy who did the bodywork for Michelangelo in Turtles 2. He's free, and he's actually going to be apparently walking around in costume at some point.
Oh, nice.
But so we've got is it Josh Pye? I can't remember the specific names. I recognize his face. The guy who did both the voice work and the body work for Raphael in the first Turtles movie. The guy who did the Leonardo body work in the first Turtles movie. The guy who did the Donatello body work in the first and second Turtles movies. The guy who played Shredder.
Because that was voiced by Corey Feldman.
But the body work, yes, correct. The body work was by, I think his name is like Leif Tilden or something like that. The guy who played Shredder in the first one. And the voice actor for Splinter, Kevin Clash. No, Kevin Clash.
Kevin Clash, yeah.
I keep wanting to say Kevin Nash. No, he played Super Shredder in Turtles 2.
Yep.
He was from the WCW.
Yep.
Anyways. And so,
don't confuse them.
Don't confuse them. And so I was like, well, I think what I got.
He also did the puppeteering, to understand Splinter,
yes,
right?
Correct. And
I would assume the puppeteering of also small Splinter too, like the Cage Splinter. Like,
very possible.
And like Kevin Clash, Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, Muppet Show. He did Clifford on Muppets Night. I mean, this guy has been everywhere. I'm so excited. And if you ever get the chance to watch Being Elmo, it's an amazing documentary.
So
go ahead.
So I took some time to try to figure out. So I know I want to get VHS tapes signed.
Yeah.
Because my Ninja Turtles VHS collection is the pride of my whole thing. It's in the center of it. And so I tried to figure out what I wanted to do, and I finally figured it out. I'm going to go with 2 VHS tapes. They are both the music video release tapes that came out with their respective movies.
Okay.
So the music video tape for the first Turtles movie actually has the movie poster on the cover. That iconic, they're looking out from underneath the sewer and you see New York behind them. The standard VHS release for the movie is a black background, the logo, and the 4 turtles just standing there.
Yep.
Right? So I really love this poster. And this tape is a bit rarer than the movie release. So I'm going to get anyone who was involved in this movie to sign this one.
Now, can I ask a question? Do those have a plastic slip
Yep.
cover over them?
Yep.
Are you going to have them sign the slip cover? Are you going to have them sign the case? Or are you going to have them sign the tape?
The actual slip cover of the tape.
The actual
so
slip
not
cover.
this
Okay.
plastic case.
So on the cardboard.
Correct. I will
Okay.
I will take the plastic case off, and then I'll have the guy who did Mikey and the guy who played Donatello sign the second one. And then my goal will just be to see how many signatures I can get on these tapes.
Great.
From those movies. Is Vanilla Ice still alive?
Yeah.
I would love to get Vanilla Ice to sign this one.
I think he sells real estate now.
Really?
Like, there's a reality show about him selling, because Go Ninja Go is on that one.
Right.
What's the song on the music video for the first one?
Let me see. Spin That Wheel by High Tech and Turtle Power by Partners in Crime.
Nice.
And Crime is with a K. I actually have not watched these music videos. I've seen Ninja Rap.
Yep.
I've seen Ninja Rap plenty of times. But anyway, so these are the ones I'm going to get signed. And then I'm going...
That's right, because Corey Feldman does not do the voice of Donatello in the second one, right? I think it's someone else. Like, if I can think of that,
I think you're right.
Like, why aren't they changing? Like, I can hear him say that, but it's not the same voice.
I don't think it's Corey. I think Corey Feldman, right?
Corey Feldman.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I would be interested to ask Mr. Pace, however he pronounces his last name. I have to figure that out. How much of the body work was he also doing? Was he doing fight choreography? Was he just walking around the set and talking? Of course, he has most of the Turtles performers also play other foot characters in the movies or have cameos where they kind of interact with themselves in some way. So the guy who plays Raphael is also the guy in the back of the taxi cab that goes, "What the heck was that?" when Raphael collapses rolls over the front of it. Michelangelo, I believe, was played by the guy who is also the Domino's delivery driver.
Oh, really?
That's the guy who did, I believe, the body work for Michelangelo.
Oh.
Donatello, the guy who did the body work, I think was the foot soldier who slaps April in the subway. So that's happening a lot.
And then the guy who plays Keno in the second one, didn't he do some of the work in the first one too?
Correct. So I think he did some of the stuff.
Eddie Reyes Jr.?
I believe so. I think he did some of the stunt work. So I think there was a difference for if you're doing fighting, if you're doing general movement acting and if you're doing voice. And my guess is that as they were casting people, they just found people could do certain things. Yeah. So another thing I'm going to do though is I'm also going to go get paint markers of certain colors so that the marker that they used to sign it has something to do with
If they were Donatello, you're signing it in purple.
Exactly.
Ooh, I like that.
So for Shredder, it's going to be silver, and Splinter, I'm going to do gold.
Oh, I like that.
Because Splinter, brown or maroon just wouldn't really.
Right.
He doesn't really have a solid color, but doing gold, since Shredder's definitely silver, just kind of puts him off there. If I ever meet Judith Hogue, yellow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, if I could ever meet Judith Hogue, and then if I ever met Elias Codius, I'd probably just do it.
What about Paige? Is it Paige Turturro who plays April? Because it's a different April in the second one.
She would sign this one.
Okay.
If I were to find that, I'm holding up the.
I noticed
the
you're
Ninja
not
Rap
holding
one.
anything from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
So I'm not even sure if there is. I don't think there was ever a music video release.
Promotional tape of some
I don't
kind?
think so. And I could be wrong about this, but I think anyone who was in 3 was probably in 2.
Okay.
Of note. I could be totally wrong about that. If I was to find out, hey, there's a convention and one of the second ADs from Turtles 3, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to go and I'm going to get Turtles 3 signed. But yeah.
I would bring it just in case. You just never know, right?
That's true.
Bring a Turtles 3 tape.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have the scepter there.
I considered doing Operation Blue Line because I have that now. But
You've actually really expanded your Turtles collection outside of the you found some very rare stuff.
There's if you're a hardcore nerdy TMNT and media person, then yeah, there's a few Turtles tapes that are definitely awesome to have. Operation Blue Line is one of them, and that was a non-commercial, so a handed out tape in 1990 that I think it was the city of San Diego or San Francisco contracted to use the Ninja Turtles to try and educate kids on the public transit system in their city, which was the Blue Line. Mm-hmm. And so the Ninja Turtles, it's people in costumes, and they have a new April, and they have a bad guy they're fighting, and his name is Gridlock. And
because it's so hard to get around the city,
of the
so
congestion.
if you use public transit.
Yes, you need to use public transit. So they fight Gridlock by using public transit. And so that I just got a copy of in the mail. I'd say right about the right value for it, but it's one of those where it gets priced in the $200 to $300 ranges sometimes because it is so rare, but it doesn't sell for that. So got that. I have already had a bunch of other stuff of theirs. I've got a few more things showing up in the mail, but the thing I told you about that is the holy grail of holiest grails for me at the moment is around the same time, at least, so early 90s with Turtles Craze is going on, they do a concert tour called Coming Out of Their Shells Tour, right? And that was huge as well. I remember seeing them on Oprah promoting Coming Out of Their Shells Tour. It was a huge, huge thing. And so they have these costumes for that tour. And like, what else can we use these costumes for? And so they end up doing something with the Bureau of Land Management for, I think, Colorado. Mm-hmm. And they produce...
Essentially, you've got all these ad agencies who are like, listen, we got to get the Turtles involved in something.
Yeah, exactly.
We got money to spend.
So they do a little like 15-minute PSA called The Mystery of the Cliffs. And they're using the costumes from the Coming Out of Our Shells tour. They're using the voice actors from the cartoon. And they're using the music from the first movie. So the opening credits of, you're just looking at like these buttes or hills or mountains or whatever, and it's the Shredder music of him coming in for that first entrance. Right? They're using all of this stuff, and the whole premise of it is that they're meeting Splinter to go camping, and they're waiting for Splinter, and they're trying to figure out why they're doing this and they realize there's some kind of mystical connection out here between Splinter and the mountains. And then they come upon some foot soldiers who are, I think, poaching and polluting and doing
littering and that kind of stuff.
They're not taking care of the natural resources, and so they have to save them. I don't know what the mystery part is. It's on YouTube. You can watch it there. Again, never commercially released. It's not something you can
something
just buy.
they gave to like public libraries.
Exactly.
Something. Yeah.
Exactly. And like, there's not even a photograph out there of what the tape looks like. Right. So it's not a missing piece of media. It's on YouTube. You can watch it now. There are copies that exist, but tracking one down is really, really hard. It's not on eBay. I'm not finding it anywhere. And so I'm in the midst right now of trying to do some detective work, see where I can ferret one out, because I was able to find it was distributed to about 5 or 6 different states. And so those states, it would have been in their public library system. It would potentially be in either school educational material, stuff like that. Maybe an employee took it home, or it's somewhere. Bureau of Land Management offices had them, and so there was someone who commented about 5 months ago on one of the videos on YouTube and said, "We actually have this at my BLM office. I wish we had a VCR to watch it." And so I messaged that person and was like, "Hey, listen, how much would you guys want for that? I would be interested in buying it off of you." So that's kind of a Grail piece for me, but
maybe you can get it before we go. This is the MagicCon is in April. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna essentially we're thinking about going there and back in the same day. It's a 5-hour drive to Minot. I mean, so we'll go there, spend like 3 hours, and then come home.
You know me, I don't go to events.
You don't.
I don't go out.
No,
I just don't want to.
It's true. He doesn't.
And so when you showed me that. And at first, I just looked at the first guy and realized that Raph was going to be there. And that sold me immediately. I was like, well, I'm going to this thing now. And then I happened to just look at the rest of the page and realize, oh, my God. It's too bad that Mikey from the first movie won't be there.
Right.
But that's okay. That just gives me more stuff to go after.
I would say this. Here's the thing. They've got time, right? You never know who gets added and who gets dropped.
That's true.
Of course.
That's a great point.
I mean, that's how I met Brendan Fraser, right? Mm-hmm. I was really going there to meet Jonathan Hyde, I think, who played the brother in the Mummy movies, but I was like, I'll see Brendan Fraser too, I guess.
Downgraded.
But then that's when I got to meet Mark Summers, and we spent a ton of time together, me and Double Dare. Okay, so we'll give you an update when we get back. Actually, we should think about doing like a live episode in the car.
Let's do it.
When we're driving there.
Yeah. And then maybe on the way back, or it's just a recap on the way back.
I mean, this is what it's gonna sound like. Oh, and okay, so I went up there and he had the gloves, and
if I can get him to say "damn," that'll make my year.
yeah. I'll do, when we take you take a photo, I'll be like, all right, on the count of 3, say damn. 1, 2, 3, and I'll force him into it, and he doesn't want to look like a schmuck. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us continue to produce new episodes each week, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some swag at the merch shop, or follow our link to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the sites the cool kids are using these days. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by visiting moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, check out linebenders.com, where you can find direct contact info for JJ or booking information. I think that my favorite episode of Turtles is the one where they've got the pizza competition with the meatballs that turn into mutants.